Hey, what's up guys? Matt here. Welcome to another video. Wow. I always am very excited to be in front of the camera and in front of my books. It's just so much fun. I love doing these videos, and I really appreciate you guys checking them out and commenting. I've gotten a few new subscribers recently, so thank you guys for those who have joined the party. Yeah, there's been a couple cool booktubers who I'll leave in the link below who kind of gave me a shout out and brought some new audience to my channel, and I really appreciate it. Today is going to be an update video, as most booktubers do, but it's going to be a couple different things. It's going to be some life updates, some book updates, and some things in general. So I'll start with what I'm currently reading, and that is The Prophet of Edan, and I'm trying to get the cover up here. This is The Prophet of Edan by Dr. Philip Chase, the booktuber, the English professor. The Prophet of Edan. I read The Way of Edan, which I'll talk about in a second. But yes, I'm currently reading The Prophet of Edan by Philip Chase, book 2 in the Edan trilogy. Wow, this series is great. It is so much fun to read. It is a classic fantasy, if you know all about that. But this is a totally different story. It's not something that you've probably read before. It's really cool. I really like how he writes. He writes very well. The prose is beautiful, and it is every sentence is a delight to read. It is great. The magic system is really interesting. I am so interested in the things that I don't know about yet. There's some mystery within this world, and you don't really have all the answers that you want right now. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful to get some answers soon, but I'm excited. It is a trilogy, and I'm on book 2, so I'll be reading book 3 after I finish. I'm on page 430 of 700, so I'm about 60% of the way through. It's been a lot of fun. I did get it on Kindle because there was a Kindle deal a couple months ago where all 3 books totaled to about $3. So, great deal, great book series. Please support Philip Chase. These are great books. These were indie published, so you might not find them in your local library to rent, but they're definitely worth it. Yeah, awesome stuff. I love it. On the back of the cover, I watched a review, and I liked that they mentioned the back of the cover, but equal parts epic and lament. The Way of Edan is the lyrical opening of the Edan trilogy. So yeah, that's book 1, The Way of Edan. Then it's The Prophet of Edan, and then it is Return to Edan. So, really excited. I am so excited to read this series. I've got a lot to read this year, and I'm so happy to be here talking to you about books. Reading books is a great time to be a reader. But I'm also reading or listening to Mark Twain's Autobiography. I've never read any Mark Twain. I do have some Mark Twain behind me over here. I have Huckleberry Finn. I've also got Tom Sawyer, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, to read in my backpack as I go throughout some things. But I wanted to read some Mark Twain and kind of figure out who Mark Twain was before I read his biography by Ron Chernow. That comes out in May, and that's something I really look forward to reading. I love Ron Chernow. He is an incredible biographer. I love how narrative his biographies go, and I really like that they're a bit of they are a cradle to grave biography. I read his Washington biography. I read his Grant biography. I read his Hamilton biography. It's been an absolute delight to read Ron Chernow. But that's what I'm going to be reading. But I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit. I'm going to talk about what I have read. So, the end of the year, I did finish The Way of Edan. It was a reread for me, but I did finish The Way of Edan. I also read, because my wife and I are super into Wicked right now, I did read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. This was weird. It was enjoyable, but I wasn't really blown away by it. I wanted some more out of The Wizard of Oz, and I think I'm gonna get that as I continue on in the Wizard of Oz world. I'm really excited. We've got Wicked to read as well, so I'm gonna be reading that at some point throughout the year. But yeah, I read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and that was my first book of the year. So, what am I planning on reading after The Prophet of Edan? Well, Return to Edan is what I'm going to be reading after that. That's book 3 in the Edan trilogy. And then I might read the Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. But I am going to be reading the Stormlight Archive. I've already read books 1 through 4. The Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbringer, Rhythm of War. But I've not read Wind and Truth. And it's been a while since I've read the entire Stormlight Archive from start to finish. So I very much look forward to doing that. This year is going to be a great reading year. This year is going to be incredible. I've got so much to read. I can't wait. I recently picked up Malazan, Book of the Fallen is also a series I'm going to try to read this year. I already read Gardens of the Moon last year. Yeah, it was last year, but I want to continue on with that series. So I've got Deadhouse Gates. I've also picked up Memories of Ice, Book 3. And I picked up House of Chains, which is Book 4 in the Malazan, Book of the Fallen series. So I'm going to be rereading Gardens of the Moon and then continuing on in the Malazan series. But that's after I finish the Stormlight Archive. So a great time to be a reader. I also picked up The Clash of Kings, or A Clash of Kings. Yeah. A Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin. Game of Thrones Book 2. Last year I read Game of Thrones in the Song of Ice and Fire series. And I'm going to reread that one and then get back to this. So, a lot of great reading this year. Also, I did... You saw that I picked up Dragonbone Share if you watched another one of my videos, but I am also going to be rereading the Harry Potter series. I got book 4 here, The Goblet of Fire. So I'm going to be rereading all 4 of the Harry Potter books that I have. So this year is a lot of rereads to catch up to the new books that I have. That also includes, I'm going to be reading Royal Assassin, Book 2 in the Farseer trilogy of the Robin Hobb Realm of the Elderlings. I read Assassin's Apprentice last year. It's up here somewhere. And I got this cool new... I don't even know what to call this edition, but it's a really neat edition. It's got some pictures in it and stuff, but... the 25th anniversary edition. So yeah. A lot of reading. A lot of good reading to do. So, yeah. That's about my reading year. That's a lot of what I'm going to be reading. I'll try to jump in a little horror. I do like horror. I like thrillers, and I like those kind of spooky books. Those are a lot of fun for me to read. It's definitely something to kind of take my mind off of fantasy when I read a lot of fantasy. I also love biographies. I'm making my way through the American presidents in the biographies of the American presidents. I'm up to James Madison now, so I also did the Grant biographies. That's 16. He was the 16th president, I think. 16th or 17th. I think it was 17th. But yes, he was the 18th president. Ulysses S. Grant was the 18th president. That's right. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's my reading. It's great. I do love nonfiction biographies and things like that, and I've read a little bit about the Civil War and stuff, but I've got a lot of good stuff to read this year. I'm really excited. Okay. Now, if you've been hanging out for this long, I really appreciate it. Now it's a couple life update things. Last year, I was chosen and accepted a role at our church to be our third pastor at our church. So now, I am Pastor Matt. Yeah, it's incredible. My goodness, I love Jesus with all my heart, and I love talking about him. I talk about Jesus some on the channel, not very much. I talk about going to church and things like that, but it may be boosted up now. I might be talking about that more, but yeah, this year I'll be preaching at our church 16 times within the year. Last year I only preached 8 times, or 8 or 12. So yeah, I'm really, really happy to be a part of the team now. It's really exciting. I am our adult teacher as well. I teach our Sunday school adult class and our Wednesday night class. So it's just a lot of fun. I'm really happy, really happy. It's something I've always wanted to do. My dad is a pastor, and I've really kind of seen what he does, and I've always felt called to do this. It's been something that I've been dreaming about for a long time and praying about. So it's been really, really exciting to prepare sermons and preach in front of our congregation. And yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful time for me. I'm really happy with what I can do for God. It's so exciting for me, especially being a 28-year-old with 2 kids and a wife who is also our children's church director at church. It's great. We are very happy. I'm very happy. It's a great time. With that, another update. My wife and I have a podcast. The podcast is called the Ministry in the Mess podcast, or just Ministry in the Mess podcast. It's been a while since we've recorded an episode. It's been 4 or 5 weeks. We've had the flu and been sick, and the kids have been sick, and it's been hard. My wife and I, it's been a little while since we've recorded an episode, but I'll link it below. The Ministry in the Mess podcast is about ministry in the mess of life. It's a faith and family podcast where we talk about different things. We're currently doing a Bible study of Mark. We're in Mark chapter 6, I believe, is what our next episode is. But it's been really helpful for my wife and I to be able to sit down and talk. We don't really have much time to sit down and talk by ourselves. So that was kind of one of the reasons why we started the podcast. And it's just been really great. It's been really fun to have a podcast. I know everybody and their mother has a podcast, but we do too now. So, yeah, I'll link it below. Ministry in the Mess podcast. Okay. I think that's it. I think that's all I want to talk about. I've got to get back to work. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy. Have a great day. Peace.